All units, UNSC Savannah. We got eyes on multiple Covenant dropships coming out of slip space. Over. The whole damn Covenant fleet. The Covenant. That's not here. Not out here. UNSC frigate Grafton. We got eyes on. We can't confirm. The Covenant are here. They're everywhere. We got eyes on Covenant dropships coming into the Alexandria sector. Over. So we go to enemy dropships opening fire on civilian areas. Over. Enemy infantry pushing down the town square. Over. Dropship Echo 40. This is Yankee 9. We are pinned down. I'm pinned down in Sector 12. We need immediate evac. I got civilians and wounded. Cannot hold this position any longer.
This is Halls. We need Spartans in the fight now. This is Carter. We got Spartans on the ground, sir. We're not going anywhere.
Remember Reach. These words are spoken often both in the expansive universe of Halo and in the real world from players that got to experience the golden age of the Halo franchise. But why do these words ring out so deeply? Halo Reach was the last Halo game to be made by Bungie and would in many ways bring about the ending of the golden age of Halo. But it was certainly not without its flaws, which we will discuss as we go on. But for now, let's focus on why this game is still remembered to this day, almost 15 years later. Let's go back nearly 15 years ago, and Halo fans from all over the world are eagerly awaiting the release of the next Halo game to sink our teeth into. How could Bungie possibly follow up the conclusion to the trilogy with Halo 3? Where could they take the story from here? Bungie's answer was to go back to where the series started. No, not to the very start of the universe, but where we got our first piece of proper Halo media. Halo Reach. For those of you who don't know about the Fall of Reach book, it was actually released before Combat Evolved, the video game, ever came out on the original Xbox. So for Bungie to take the next game there was a massive step for them. We had heard Reach be mentioned in previous games a few times, and for those who went even deeper into the lore were aware of just how much of a major significance the Fall of Reach is in the Halo universe. But now to be able to play in this setting and experience for ourselves, just how was Bungie gonna do this? Well, they decided to retcon the book and put their own spin on one of the biggest moments in all of Halo lore. That was their answer to it. Now let's get this rant out of the way right now. The way Reach actually falls in the book Fall of Reach is the superior version of the story that tells, well, the Fall of Reach. So with that now put aside, it was now up to Bungie to deliver a gaming experience that could stand amongst the titans that is the Halo trilogy. And the marketing for this game was something special. Instead of pushing the hero Spartan 117, the Master Chief, as the savior that would defeat the Covenant, what we got was the exact opposite. No Master Chief, being told there was no victory to be found on Reach, an unwinnable battle, and the consequence of Reach falling. And Reach falling was an inevitability that we all knew going into this game. Even if you weren't too versed in Halo lore, you had no doubt heard Reach be referenced in the game in some shape or form during the trilogy.
The fleet that destroyed Reach was 50 times this size.
The promotional material for this game told us to remember Reach, not to save Reach, not to fight for Reach, but to remember Reach. In one of the trailers, Catherine Halsey even said that Reach will fall.
Mankind is outmatched. When Reach falls, and it will fall, our annihilation is all but certain.
All of this is such a stark difference to what we had seen prior in marketing from previous Halo games that is something that goes a little bit underrated, at least in my opinion, from a marketing perspective. With the release of Halo Reach came significant changes, not just to the lore of the Halo universe, but gameplay as well. We were now playing as Spartan Freeze with access to armor abilities, which to this day is still debated if this was a positive addition or not. These abilities included things like the ever so polarizing sprint, active camo, jetpacks, and more. However, the one that players remember for all the wrong reasons was an ability called Armor Lock. Seriously, fuck that ability and fuck anyone who used Armor Lock. Apart from the addition of adding new armor abilities, we were also given new weapons for both the UNSC and the Covenant. Now, new weapons in a Halo game is always welcome, however the issues of balancing the weapon sandbox is always a tricky thing, and Halo was no different in this regard, especially with the addition to one of the biggest changes to any Halo game, weapon bloom. Now this is something I can remember everyone hating instantly, especially when you consider that Halo 3 was all about accuracy, hence the battle rifle dominated the multiplayer of that game, with Reach adding bloom and players needing to space their shots with the newly added DMR weapon, which was also basically the battle rifle's replacement for this game. Players were very annoyed at this feature. Over time though, bloom became one of the less argued features about Halo Reach, but man, people absolutely hated bloom. Even the pro players back in the day did not like it. I can remember everyone going off about bloom. As with Halo 3, Halo Reach added a fantastic Forge mode that allowed players to create close to anything they could come up with at the time. The amount of hours we all spent playing custom community maps like Duck Hunt, for example, on player-created maps was amazing. And also, just like in a previous Halo game, this time being ODST, Halo Reach brought back the fan-favorite mode, Firefight. And my god, was it amazing. Bungie took everything from the previous game Firefight and made it better. I remember doing LAN parties for both ODST Firefight and Reach Firefight, and wow, what a load of fun. My mates and I all playing as our custom Spartan Freeze, holding off a Covenant attack on Reach, creating our own in-universe reason as to why the Covenant were attacking these particular generators. We were basically role-playing. It was peak. No other way to describe it. Halo Reach Firefight LAN parties was something I would give up damn near anything to go back and experience again. Oh, and speaking of custom Spartans, to this day, no Halo game beats Halo Reach in terms of customization and the leveling system. The options we had to make our Spartan Freeze, well, our own Spartan Free, was incredible. You wanted to add a satellite uplink to your Mark 5B helmet? Sure, why not? As long as you have it unlocked and have a free slot for that piece, you can add it. Want to change your in-game Firefight voice? Okay, sure, just as long as you have it unlocked, you can.
Got something you want to tell me?
Oh, but what about the way you could go unlocking these items in these games? Well, Bungie had an idea for this. Play the game. Just play the game.
No way!
That's all. Everything gave you credits. You could play anyway in any mode you want and you could gain credits. Oh, and by the way, everything that I have mentioned so far was in this game at launch. What a wild idea. And one more thing I want to mention before we move on. Invasion mode in multiplayer was great, and the UNSC versus the Covenant as a multiplayer game mode, brilliant. Why have they not done something similar like that in future Halo games? I do not understand that. That is, to me, is just such a massive regression of multiplayer in Halo. Now, Halo was never just about the multiplayer. It's equally as important, if not more important, to make sure these games have a great campaign, which is something the 343 era have, well, struggled with, to put it lightly. Now, fuck being polite, Halo 5 is nothing short of a back alley coat hanger abortion performed by an Ebola-ridden leper. Nothing short of that. Anyway, like I was saying, campaigns for Halo games really need to stand out and stand out strong. There's not many games, especially in the FPS genre, that can stand amongst Halo 2 narratively. And Halo 3, despite its flaws, is still considered a fantastic ending to the trilogy. And on top of that, Halo Reach being a retcon and a retelling of one of the biggest events in Halo lore, Bungie had a giant mountain to climb with this campaign. So what was their approach? They put us in Reach. They put us in Spartan armor. They made us, the player, the main character of the campaign. They did that by creating a blank slate Spartan 3 with no name and simply referred to as 6, Noble 6, the newest member of Noble Team, the Spartans and characters we'd spend our time with on Reach. This was the first time in a Halo game that had more than one Spartan on screen at any given time. No, I'm not counting co-op in previous games. I mean actual different Spartans together, interacting and fighting together. A full-blown team of Spartans which had teenager me very, oh so very excited to see. Now, in a very strange way, by having the character Noble 6 being a blank slate character, we were able to make that character an avatar of ourselves as we were playing through this game. So in a sense, we were there during the Battle of Reach, all the way up until when Reach fell. This was the first part of how Bungie was going to go about making this a truly memorable campaign experience. Bungie also took the time to elaborate on the personalities of the members within Noble Team, from the no-nonsense leader of Carter, the resourceful and intelligent Kat, the tactician sniper June, the aggressive assault specialist Emil, who immediately stood out because of his helmet, George, the only Spartan 2 member of Noble Team and the most sentimental of all the Spartans in Noble Team as well.
Friend of yours?
Father.
Shine along. I'm sorry.
And then finally, us, or you, as Noble 6. There were missions with members of Noble Team and cutscenes with them interacting with each other to help develop who they were and made the player grow attached to them, which was a bittersweet thing because on Reach, this could only ever end one way. As we play through the campaign, Noble Team and the UNSC as a whole try desperately to repel the Covenant invasion, and the missions do offer a variety we'd come to expect from a Halo campaign. Sniper levels, vehicle focus levels, intense cinematic battles, and the addition of new scenarios like participating in a space battle by operating an only secretly designed spaceship called a Saber. And while we do experience some small level of success, it becomes more clear as the campaign goes on that this is an unwinnable battle, and this is brought to the forefront with the first member of Noble Team to die in the game. The death of George, who again is the only Spartan 2 member of Noble Team, is when it truly hits us that there is no chance we could survive or win the Battle of Reach.
Listen, Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Tell him to make it count.
George sacrificed himself believing that he had just saved the entire planet, only for an entire Covenant armada to arrive mere moments after his death. The thing about heroic sacrifices is the person who does the sacrifice never gets to see the victory celebration, the sigh of relief, or the feeling of peacefulness. They make their sacrifice out of the slim chance of hope that this is what would be happening after their death. George truly embodied what it meant to have a heroic sacrifice, except in George's case, it didn't result in a celebration or a victory or a sigh of relief, only that the Covenant seemed more unstoppable than ever before. We see the destruction the Covenant is causing on Reach, killing everyone within their sights, from Spartans to civilians, with entire cities being destroyed. Now, of course, this is minimal compared to what would later happen to Reach at the hands of the Covenant. But as the story continues, Noble 6, who again is an avatar of ourselves, regroups with the rest of Noble Team following George's death. It strikes us all, despite their modifications, that Spartans are still human. Emil, the one who constantly butted heads with George, is physically the most upset about George's death and is shown without Emil ever taking off his helmet. It's almost like emotions can be conveyed without having to show the face, and Halo has a history of doing this. I just had to put at least one fuck you out there to the Halo show. Anyway, back with Noble Team on Reach. Just to further reinforce the point that this is not a winnable battle, not only does Kat, the smartest member of Noble Team, outright ask if there's any chance of victory, Noble Team barely survives a Covenant glassing mere seconds after she asks. This glassing is happening while Kat is questioning orders that suggest the battle for Reach is already lost, only for Kat to be killed mid-sentence.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
The death of Kat reinforces two things. Reach is an unwinnable battle, and that Spartans are again still very much human. As players, we are so used to Master Chief being able to overcome nearly any situation as a Spartan, but we just saw a Spartan die mid-sentence. No heroic sacrifice like George had, no final piece of wisdom, just dead, mid-sentence. It's not too long after that in the story where we eventually come to one of Dr. Halsey's labs, where we are given a package to deliver to a ship that is leaving Reach, and this package is presented as the best chance humanity has to win the war and avoid extinction. This package is none other than Cortana and the ship, the Pillar of Autumn from Halo Combat Evolved. I know earlier I said I wasn't going to get into some of the big lore changes with this game, but these parts might just be the most egregious. However, what Bungie was doing here was making us, the player, with our Noble 6 avatar, the reason as to why the events of Halo Combat Evolved would happen. A way to bring the franchise full circle in a sense, like a ring. So that's exactly what we did. We pushed through the Covenant forces, knowing Reach was already lost. We were just racing the clock to get Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn in time, and along the way we witnessed the heroic sacrifices of Carter, the leader of Noble Team, and Emil's final act of sheer badassery. Now I know that's not a word, but there's no other way to describe his death scene. With Cortana delivered to the hands of Captain Keyes, it was time for us to leave Reach. Except we all knew that couldn't happen, but before we could even process that, we had to defend the Pillar of Autumn so it could take off and escape Reach, leaving Noble 6 alone. on Reach. And that brings us to the final mission. The level is simply called Lone Wolf, and the level's objective is simple yet impossible: survive. As waves of Covenant forces close in, the player knows that survival is impossible. This setup creates a sense of inevitability and heroism. Noble Six's fate is already sealed by the moment the Pillar of Autumn took off, but the character's determination to fight until the end is a testament of bravery and dedication. The level's gameplay design emphasizes the overwhelming odds stacked against Noble Six. The enemies keep coming and the resources are scarce, and one of my favorite things about this entire level and this entire game is the player's HUD begins to crack, mirroring the character's deteriorating condition. I love this idea, man. Like, the fact that it's a first person and everything we see on the screen, the ammo counter, the mini-map, is all within the Spartan's helmet. And as the damage we're taking gets increased, the helmet starts to crack and we lose access to the HUD. Our heads-up display goes. And again, it's like Noble Six was an avatar of ourselves. The final cutscene where Noble Six is overwhelmed and finally falls is handled with cinematic finesse, a brutal ending to our time on Reach. The conclusion to Halo Reach is bittersweet. The Covenant succeeds in their assault on Reach, leading to the planet's fall and glassing. However, the narrative gives the player a glimmer of hope. Dr. Halsey's closing monologue reveals that Noble Six's actions, our actions, were crucial in the discovery of the Halo Ring.
And because of you, we found Halo, unlocked its secrets, shattered our enemy's resolve. Our victory, your victory, was so close. I wish you could have lived to see it.
And this sets the stage for the events of Halo Combat Evolved, which would then lead into the future of the Halo games and the eventual human victory against the Covenant. So again, I ask, why do we remember Reach? Is it for the gameplay mechanic changes? Is it for raising the bar of firefight mode, the thriving yet often divisive multiplayer? Or is it the way Bungie showed thanks to the players of the Halo franchise by making us be responsible for passing the torch that would lead to humanity's victory, despite falling in its greatest defeat? Now, I believe we remember Reach because, in a sense, we never left. We never got to leave Reach. Noble Six, who was an avatar of the player, died on Reach. It was also the last time that Bungie would make a Halo game before 343 Industries took the reins. However, it was also a marking and a change of our real world lives. Halo Reach was released in 2010, and life was very different, both for better and for worse at that time. We remember Reach for the many, many hours we played in the glory days of Xbox Live and all the beautiful gaming autism that came with it. We remember Reach for how our lives were back in 2010. However, whatever your reasons are, one thing is for certain: we remember Reach. There's more?
It didn't take long for Reach to fall. Our enemy was ruthless, efficient, but they weren't nearly fast enough. For you had already passed the torch.
Oh my god.
And because of you, we found Halo, unlocked its secrets, shattered our enemy's resolve. Our victory, your victory.
Are they doing the
so
meme
close.
where Six
I
is
wish
alive
you
in a
could have lived
cave?
to see it. But you belong to Reach.
He did the
Your
meme.
body, your armor, all burned and turned to glass. Everything. Except your courage. That you gave to us. And with it, we can rebuild.
Lol. So, for those that don't know, there's like this joke meme thing. It's that Six survived and he's in a cave, hiding in a cave. That was funny.